Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for some of you. In this video, I shall be reading several short horror stories, and I want you, after the video, to name one which you like. I will then try to find other stories that are similar and read them in my forthcoming videos. Let's start, shall we? My daughter learned to count. My daughter woke me up around 11:50 last night. My wife and I had picked her up from a friend Sally's birthday, brought her home, and put her to bed. My wife went into the bedroom to read while I fell asleep watching the Brave game. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging my shirt sleeve, "guess how old I'm going to be next month?" "I don't know, darling," I said as I slipped on my glasses. "How old?" She smiled and held up 4 fingers. It is 7:30 now. My wife and I have been up with her for almost 8 hours. She still refuses to tell us where she got them. Something in my bed. I begin tucking him into bed, and he tells me, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." I look underneath for his amusement, and see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, "Daddy, there's somebody in my bed." I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is, that I am lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destinations like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a little brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom likely far surpasses mine, considering he's confined to a dark room in an institution. I always beg for them to give him one last chance. Of course, they did at first. Charlie has been back home several times, each shorter in duration than the last. Every time, without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes showing up in his toy chest, my dad's razors found dropped on the baby's slide in the park across the street, Mum's vitamins replaced by bits of dishwasher tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming, makes it easy for him to fake normalcy, and to trick the doctors who care for him into thinking he is ready for rehabilitation, that I will just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he is back. My daughter won't stop crying. My daughter won't stop crying and screaming in the middle of the night. I visit her grave and ask her to stop, but it doesn't help. Hell. There was no pearly gate. The only reason I knew I was in a cave was because I had just passed the entrance. The rock wall rose behind me with no ceiling in sight. I knew this was it. This was what religion talked about. What man feared. I had just entered the gates to hell. I felt the presence of the cave as it was a living, breathing creature. The stench of rotten flesh overwhelmed me. Then there was a voice. It came from inside and all around. "Welcome." "Who are you?" I asked, trying to keep my composure. "You know," the thing answered. I did know. "You are the devil." I stuttered, quickly losing my composure. "Why me? I've lived as good as I could." The silence took over the space as many words died out. It seemed like an hour went by before the response came. What did you expect?" The voice was penetrating but patient. "I don't know. I never believed in any of this." I uttered. "Is that why I'm here?" Silence. I continued. "Then say the greatest trick you ever pulled was convincing the world you don't exist." "No, the greatest trick I ever pulled was convincing the world that there is an alternative." "There is no God?" I shivered. The cave trembled with the words, "I am God." Mother. You hear your mum calling you into the kitchen, As you are heading downstairs, you hear a whisper from the closet saying, "Don't go down there, honey." I heard it too. He stood against my window. I don't know why I looked up, but when I did, I saw him there. He stood against my window. His forehead rested against the glass, and his eyes were still and light, and he smiled with a lipstick-red, cartoonish grin. And he just stood there, in the window. My wife was upstairs sleeping. My son was in his crib, and I couldn't move. I froze, and watched him look past me through the glass. Oh, please, no. His smile never moved, but he put a hand up and slid down the glass, watching me, with matted hair, and yellow skin, and those crazed eyes, and the face through the window. I couldn't do anything. I just stayed there, frozen, feet still in the bushes I was pruning, looking into my home. He stood against my window. Don't be scared of monsters. Don't be scared of monsters. Just look for them. Look to your left, look to your right, under your bed, behind your dresser, in the closet, but never look up. She hates being seen. So I lost my phone. Last night, a friend rushed me out of the house to catch the opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I checked the table we were sitting at, the bar, the bathrooms, and after no luck, I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered, gave out a low, raspy giggle, and hung up. They didn't answer again. I eventually gave it up as a lost cause and headed home. I found my phone laying on my nightstand, right where I left it. Mother and child. After working a hard day, I came home to see my girlfriend cradling our child. I didn't know which was more frightening, seeing my dead girlfriend and stillborn child, or knowing that someone broke into my apartment to place them there. The last thing I saw was my alarm clock flashing 12:07 before she pushed her long, rotting nails through my chest, her other hand muffling my screams. I sat bolt upright, relieved it was only a dream. But as I saw my alarm clock read 12:06, I heard my closet door creak open. Timekeeper. He had been given the watch on his 10th birthday. It was an ordinary grey plastic watch in every respect, except for the fact that it was counting down. That is all the time you have left in the world, son. Use it wisely. And indeed he did. As the watch ticked away, the boy, now a man, lived life to the fullest. He climbed mountains and swam oceans. He talked and laughed and lived and loved. The man was never afraid, for he knew exactly how much time he had left. Eventually, the watch began its final countdown. The old man stood, looking over everything he had done, everything he had built. 5. He shook hands with the old business partner, the man who had long been his friend and confidant. 4. His dog came and licked his hand, earning a pat on the head for companionship. 3. He hugged his son, knowing that he had been a good father. 2. He kissed his wife on the forehead one last time. 1. The old man smiled and closed his eyes. Then nothing happened. The watch beeped once and turned off. The man stood there, standing idly, very much alive. You would think that in that moment he would have been overjoyed. Instead, for the first time in his life, the man was scared. Now, I'm going to give my short review on this, and then follow this up with a ridiculous blooper of myself trying to pronounce the word wristwatch. I believe the last one had me kind of enticed or intrigued. The general thought that time can manage someone's life or change, which it can, only to be giving that person a false sense of fate or hope that this day will come and he would have fulfilled his life, or that his fate has been set and this day he will die and he's prepared for it. But when you take away that perspective or that fact that he thinks is true, then what does a man have? He's done everything. He lived life to the fullest and he was prepared to die. He wasn't prepared to do anything else. But what does it mean? That's what it really means. What does that mean? What does that watch mean? It was counting down all those years. It's a long counter, and it finally finished. What does it mean? Leaves that for the man to fear. But for the others, some of them were alright. Some of them were very simple, very strange. I mean, I liked that one about not looking up, because she doesn't like it when you do that or whatever. You have to look for monsters, look left, right, up, down, whatever, not up, in the closet, wherever. That was good. That had me in my seat, not looking up for a bit. But for the others, there were some of them were just cheesy, some of them were just not that good. But I'll leave that to you guys. I just want to know which ones you preferred, and I'll try and find some stories that are relevant or relate to such story you voted. And once again, thank you very much for listening.